Get ready to play hardball in the Kingdome.
Take me to the ball game. I want to see the Ants. The Mariners are playing hardball. Did it again and again and again. Did it again.
Princess Tours, the vacation company, brings you the best show in baseball when the San Diego Chicken plays hardball with the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Kingdome.
Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast.
We have the one and only Mr. Tom Hutler. Do you have any of your favorite stories from the Kingdome?
There was a time we had an earthquake, and so they were going to evacuate the building. So I was like getting up to go leave, and they go, "No, you can't go. You got to read these safety things." It's like,
do we need to tell them that there's smoking's only on the exterior ramps?
Yeah. And Dave came shooting past. He signed off. I'm going, wait, I'm the only one here.
Listen and subscribe to Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. You are checking us out here on YouTube. If you're doing this on YouTube, if you're getting this podcast in the morning, hey, you could get this podcast the night before. You could actually get in some questions. You could be up to date because when we do this show, that's when it's probably the most up to date, right, Hannah? Shit always changes. Sure, some of these things we're going to talk about right away are going to change tomorrow. Specifically the roster stuff. We know that Luke Raley is very close to returning. The reports are he's going to be returning this weekend. Does that mean Friday? Does it mean Saturday, Sunday? We don't know at the time of this recording. But with that being said, there's going to be a roster move. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about this article about Julio and the Red Sox pitching coach and the Netflix series that some of these comments are on. And there was an article about it in the Seattle Times that's pretty good by Jude, I believe. And also, we are going to make the case for J.P. Crawford and see where, realistically he stands with the other American League shortstops, as far as talking about the All-Star game that's in a month or so. And a little bit, we're going to kind of just talk about what Emerson Hancock, what he can do here in the next month to make things pretty interesting about what we do as far as pitching with the Seattle Mariners for the rest of the season. What's going on, Hannah? Just getting done with that basketball game?
No, I checked in when they were up 30 and just after halftime, and I was like, that's good enough for me. Don't want to jinx it and change the channel.
You know what's interesting is, as far as a Seattle sports fan, everybody's probably very happy, of course, probably the majority of the people probably happy the Pacers did not succumb to OKC, but does it even make it more charged up and scarier now it's going to be Game 7 on a Sunday night in Oklahoma, meaning if they win, they're going to be right there on that court with the Oklahoma logo right there while they lift up to Larry O'Brien. Or it's going to be very sweet if Halliburton, the choker himself, gives them the Reggie Miller.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they are indeed going to win, I'd rather have them not celebrate on their own home court, those bastards. But, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not so... I don't know. Me and you have different opinions about the whole Sonics thing, and we'll save that for a whole nother breakdown of a podcast. But and when we start our basketball podcast, that'll be the spinoff of this. And
hold on.
Yeah. You agreed. You said as long as I let it be known every episode that
No,
I followed the Oklahoma City Thunder when they first left. We do it.
I told you, I don't even know that I'm having second thoughts on that, Billy. Someone who's an Oklahoma City Thunder fan and then wants to do a Sonic podcast, I just don't think I can. That's just against everything I believe in. I have, I can't do it. I don't think,
We'll have to get a mediator. We'll have to have an episode that we.
Well, you're going to be on the barge, so state in your case. So.
Oh, I know you're definitely. You said you wanted to take me to kangaroo court here, but yeah, back to the Mariners real quick though. While people are getting on here, homestand 4-2. You just sign up for that after the way they had played headed into that. Homestand, after being swept, losing 5 of 6 on the road between Anaheim and here. What was it? 11 out of 30 games or something. It was a terrible number. You take 4-2, but it does leave a nasty taste in your mouth when you can't lock down the series victory. When you only give up 5 runs and triggering those feelings of typical Mariner teams. But again, happy to see that you saw good things in this homestand.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, I agree. 4-2 sounds good, but I mean, they're still not looking that good to me. Like you mentioned, 5 runs, and another 5, 5.5 games back out of first place. They keep falling back further and further. If you don't get a 5 spot from Raleigh, you're probably not going to win. So I don't know. One positive is I think the starting pitching's looked better. We all know, I've said it millions of times, the last game, Luis Castillo, he's going to give up 1 or 2, and you just need to, know that going in. He gave up, a 2-run homer and a solo, and you just couldn't do anything. But that's my positive.
And that's what he's going to do. He's going to give you the 6 innings. He's going to give up 2 or 3 runs. Yeah. That's just pretty much, but he's going to give you a shot to put some runs on the board and hand the ball over to, the Brashes, the Vargas, the Munoz. So, I mean, he does his job all the time. It feels like, and yeah, it does. There was a positive. Definitely Logan Gilbert looked like, he's closer to who he really is versus when Kirby came back for sure.
Definitely.
That's another frustrating one, right? That Monday game, you get blanked. And you are right. You are right. You're like, let's take that Raleigh blast away. It was you could have easily got swept as well. But no, I think the game that they won, they just handedly won that game.
They won 8-0, but I mean, over the last few weeks, it just feels like they're only successful if Cal, carries the whole offense. It feels like, but I know that's not completely true, but it certainly feels like it. If you don't get a bomb or 2 from him and driving him in, where's the offense coming from? JP, he's. We'll talk about him. Has had a nice year, and so we'll see.
Yeah, let's get into some positive stuff because now that I've heard you and I'm really thinking back to these games. Sure, the sweep of Cleveland was great. That's a good decent team to sweep. Boston. Now you're tied with them, I believe, as far as the season series. I just wanted to mention, last year the Mariners it was stacked up against them. It didn't end up coming down to a tie, but all the teams that they were in the wild card with, if you remember, they all had the series clinchers over everybody. So I think at least Seattle has that over Cleveland, I believe. So that's
yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Hey, don't forget, we're up 3-0 in the Veteran Cup.
Yeah, I won't forget
Let's get
that.
Positive around here. All right.
One thing I remember the most about that Cleveland series that my takeaway besides the sweep is how they walked JP Crawford to get to Julio. That scenario. First time I've seen that. Do you remember that in that game?
Yeah, I do. I literally forgot about that until you mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean, that
That is a
very
good
interesting.
transition. Yeah, that's a good transition point too. We could either go the JP way, let's go positive, or we can just let's. I think you just said Julio last, so let's go into Julio.
All right.
So there's this article that's out. It's in the Seattle Times, and it is basically talking about, and I'll share it here on YouTube. But basically, it is talking about Julio Rodriguez has been very, very aggressive lately. Is it working? But the first thing that they bring up is this, these comments, I should say, that are in a Netflix series called the Dugout, or no, the Clubhouse, A Year with the Red Sox, and they chronicled 2024, and the opening day was against the Mariners, I think, here in Seattle, if I can remember correctly. And they basically were the pitching coach is going through like the scouting reports, and he says, I guess, quote, Julio is very, very aggressive. All he wants is the ball in the middle. Anything, cambio, changeup, middle, slider, middle. That's all he can hit. And then the article basically what goes on to talk about Julio's approach, and as far as what Jerry DiPoto thinks about it. Pretty good article. I'll pull it up. But go ahead, Hannah.
Yeah, I mean, Julio has certainly been talked about quite a bit here this last week. You mentioned these articles. It's been talk online on sports radio. My opinion of Julio is he's still young. He's still 24. There's some things I really like about him, and then there's some things that I'm frustrated with. So I'm kind of I understand what both sides say about Julio. But he's young. He plays the game super hard. Yeah, his approach is a little frustrating here. I heard some stat that he swings either at the first or second pitch 50% of the time. That can be very successful, and it can also hurt you. And I'm sure all the other clubs know that too, and they're using it, as you mentioned, that Boston Netflix documentary that they say just throw it down the middle. Makes sense. We see how teams attack him hard in and soft away with a spin, and he has trouble with it sometimes. Well, not sometimes. Feels like a lot of the time. But he's still a young player. He does a lot of good things, plays great defense. I guess the one thing I could say about Julio is I wish, how we've seen year after year Cal address certain things of his game and then improve. I'd like to see that a little bit from Julio, but then I also got to remember that Cal is also 4 years older than Julio.
Exactly.
Went to college, played in, big time college baseball, and has more experience. But my opinion is I see things on both sides of everybody's argument, and I'm glad we have him. He's still very young.
Yeah, I saw a comment today on one of the groups, the Mariner groups, and it was basically talking about Julio not, meeting these expectations. But the thing is, again, he's still 24, and you have him for a while. So, and I think I commented like, yeah, right now, is he an all-star? No. Is he a superstar? No. Can he be? Yeah, we've seen him at that level, but currently, right now, he's not, and that's okay. I think the back half of the season, I definitely feel like he gets that all-star pressure. I would assume he does. It's that pressure of maybe, am I going to make it? He's been a tweener every year, every single year, even going back to his rookie year, but he was on he was ascending at this point. And then the last couple of seasons, he's had these slow starts. I mean, he's already labeled as a slow starter, now into his fourth season. So I do think he's going to have a bigger second half, but you said it too. Cal Raleigh's older. Wait until he's 28. Wait till he gets some more of this old man strength. I do think you're going to see a patch of years where Julio's going to have 40 plus home runs.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah. It's
Um,
not happen right now. I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, you do see certain things that you want to see him improve on. Go ahead.
my number one is recognizing the strike zone. I mean, that will help him out so much if he's able to curtail that. Sure, he's cut down on his strikeouts quite a bit, but it's creeping back up now in this last month. But because of that, he's lost a lot of his power. I mean, he's got 15 hits this month. I saw, and all of them are singles except one double, one triple, I believe, if I read it correctly. But that's just trying to dissect what he can do. He was put in an unfair position too. The Mariners haven't really put. They just. He had that great rookie year, and then they just threw him in there and said, "Hey, be the leader of this team, carry this team," and we didn't really give you too much around you to help you out, but we expect this of you.
Not at all.
That's a lot of pressure as well.
Not at all. I mean, if you've been following the Mariners, listen, it's chronicled of what they've done since they've been a playoff team. Nothing.
Yeah.
You don't need to dive into that more. We all know that. That's surface shit. If you're a Mariners fan, you were talking about what his splits are that you saw. I can try to pull this up here, but basically in the last 7 games, he's hitting 250. Last 15 games, 295 going into this weekend. Last month, he's hitting 288. But yeah, you do look at the home runs is what you're talking about. The home runs are 3 in the last month, none in the last 2 weeks. So yeah, he's hitting the ball. He's swinging a lot. But there's the splits for you right there. Going into this Chicago series, of course, if you're catching us a little bit later. But as far as what else they're talking about in this article, when you were talking about the swing rates and him just swinging a lot, it is chronicled right here. And sorry about this delay. It says right here, notably, Rodriguez is very, very aggressive. Reputation has ratcheted up another level. He's swinging at 57% of all pitches, the 6th highest rate in the majors, and at a 71.3 of all first pitches he sees is the game's highest rates.
That's just for the first pitch. That's an easy one for pitchers to get that on the scouting report, and they know how to attack it.
Yeah, don't throw a cookie. Throw on the corner, get some chase. Look, his hard hit rate via Baseball Savant is well below his career average, though, at 49.2. So he's down 7% if you want to get into that stat. So him swinging more and him striking out less has, at the same time, and is it a coincidence, has lowered his hard hit rate. Is basically what they're talking about here in this article by Adam Jude as well. But Jerry DiPoto also said he's on pace for a 30 homer, 5 and 5/2 win season. So it's tough to complain about what he's doing. And you really look forward to what the end product looks like for him. And that's, what we're saying here too, is we're not on the whole Julio isn't, a top 5 player in the league right now, so he's a failure.
Exactly.
You see that shit out there, and you're like, that's dumb. But obviously, it's something we're going to be talking about. This is something that's going to be focused on, and it's being focused on, league wide versus just Seattle media. Seattle media, much harder and harsher, and everything's with the, magnifying glass on it. But let's quickly take a quick break, and let's talk about the case for JP Crawford, what he needs to do, and what the probability of him and where he stacks up with the shortstops of basically him getting on the All-Star team is what I'm trying to land on. We'll be right back after this. We got 4-time Gold Glove winners, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger. And look, the reason why I bleached my hair back in the 2000s. What's up, Brett?
I love it. I love it. You had the hair, huh?
That was like my college look.
That was my thing. My kids still tease me about it. And they said, "Dad, why don't you go bleach your hair?" I said, "Dad's getting a little old for that." I said, that was just a phase I went through. It was kind of a shtick. And I used to tell people when I'd bleach my hair, I'd say, the city expects it. So just don't worry about it. Get out of my way every 3 weeks. And I had my routine.
Did you get your hair done by somebody here?
I did. No, I did. I had a young lady who would come to the ballpark, actually. And I had a barber chair. It was a hair bleaching station. And there was a couple guys on the Mariners that would get it done too. But every 3 weeks she would come in. We had a little office space off the clubhouse, and I'd get it done. So that was fun. That brings back pretty cool memories.
I wonder if Randy Rosarena is using that same bleaching, or is he going away from the bleach right now? We got to check into that. Okay, so JP Crawford. I mean, what a season he's had. I mean, and he was somebody that was definitely on our very critical, hey, this is a put up or shut up style season. I'd say a lot of the people that cover the Mariners were kind of like, oh, come on, JP. Everybody loves him as a person, awesome. As a teammate, great. Last season definitely left us going like, what the hell? Now let's get away from all that bullshit. I mean, this is the best season I think he's ever put together so far.
Yeah, he's making good contact. He, is still hitting for a little bit of power, but his whole approach has changed, and he's, become a staple at the top of the lineup for the Mariners. I wouldn't see anybody else in that leadoff spot. He's had a really good night, and he's start to the first part of the season.
Yeah, and notably what he's doing right now. Started off a little bit slow. I think we were definitely going like, oh man, and Vlad has come on here and cut some hard some hard takes on JP. And I know I'm not giving him a good build-up right here. This is not a good introduction of the positivity, but what I'm trying to say is just like, what a big change, and I'm happy for him. But like, let's just talk about, look, the stats don't lie, right? Sometimes they don't tell you the story, but the biggest thing with him is that on-base percentage, right? I mean, in the league, leads it, I believe. We're going to make sure that's not bullshit. But just in the last 7 games, 531. In the last 15 games, 515. In the last month, 462. Last 7 games, hitting 375. Last 15 games, 389. Last 30 games, 324. So he's been doing it.
Yeah, he's off to a nice little run right now for sure.
He's got a little bit of power in there. He's popping in, but it doesn't seem like this year. We used to say when he'd get a home run, we'd be like, great. Now he's going to be pimping for a week or so for another one. We've seen him just go everywhere this season.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, what did he have? A career high 19. He's got, 6 so far this year. He could still reach it, but yeah, I agree with you. He's not, getting homer happy like we saw that year.
And I know that the Mariners are putting a big, campaign behind certain Mariners, especially Cal Raleigh, who probably doesn't even need any more campaigning. I think the league just knows he's going to be the starting catcher or something is wrong. And he actually has the biggest lead, I think, of any position over the next person in his position as far as the voting. But as far as JP Crawford, this is going to be a after vote selection, I would believe. And if you're just going off of, his season stats, again, 295, 6 home runs, 9 RBIs, with that on-base percentage of 416 on the whole season. OPS 824. OPS 824. Plays every day. Plays great defense. His defense has been better this season, wouldn't you say? than probably the last year's for sure.
Yeah, he's played a nice little shortstop for us, and he's been able to adapt with numerous guys at second base on the double play combo. So yeah, he's looked real nice there.
As far as other shortstops, that's really what it comes out to. I mean, if he can continue what he's doing right now, hitting about 300 for the next 2 or 3 weeks, he's got to continue to have a really good week. But I think he's got a good chance. But let's go look at actually the other shortstops in the American League. Always a stacked position.
Yeah, and even though he's having a good year, and you've mentioned all his stats, I mean, in the West right away, I can tell you that he probably would be third out of the 5 shortstops that play out West. You got Jeremy Pena, who's having a nice year, the rookie, Jacob Wilson. And because Kyle Seager's been hurt and so much this year, he usually puts up big numbers, but he hasn't. So, like I mentioned, those first 2, I think they get the nod over him, unfortunately. But still, JP's had a nice start to the year, and there's still a chance that he could get awarded an all-star position.
Well, yeah, you look at Jacob Wilson right here. First of all, 101 hits, 9 home runs, 39 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 361 batting average, on base percentage of 400, OPS of 911. I mean, that should be your starting shortstop, just off of. I mean, that's one hell of a line. You also got somebody like you said here in the American League West, you got Jeremy Pena. Again, good lines too. 9 home runs, 93 hits, 37 RBIs, hitting 320, OPS 846, on base percentage 375. So look, he's got JP edged as well. Let's just look at Bo Bichette. 10 home runs, 272, OPS 749, on base percentage 316, average 272. But who else is coming off of the Blue Jays this season? Oh, probably Guerrero. Because I was going to say, it also, if you throw in a team that has to have a representative, that can kind of screw you too. Like, maybe you deserve to go, but hey, the Colorado Rockies need to have some, but obviously they're not.
Hey, they're playing well this last week.
I mean, they could have probably beat the Mariners a couple weeks ago. Here's another person that you always got to put in consideration. Bobby Witt, OPS of 830, on pace percentage 345, average 285, 21 stolen bases, 39 RBIs, 9 home runs. Great defense. So, yeah, it is a stacked. Unfortunately, it's a stacked position. And like you said, just right in the American League West, you probably have him third. Let's just look at another guy who's season or somebody in the season. So it looks like a lot of these shortstops almost similar on the home runs and the power, right? Everybody's got about 9, 10. You look at Gunnar Henderson, 8 home runs, 22 RBIs, 282 batting average, on base percentage of 347, just under 8 with OPS. So again, if JP is going to make this all-star team, he's going to have to remain hot and pretty damn hot. And you're probably going to have to see some slumps. But he is doing what he's doing at the right time. Because I don't know where some of these stats come from with other people. Maybe they were extremely hot in May and they cooled down. So, all the momentum, things that happen in June really reflect on what picks in early July.
Yeah, could be. I mean, we just need JP to keep playing how he's playing, and help out the Mariners. Yeah, an all-star game would be a nice little thing for him. But, for me, the main thing is that he just keeps playing like he is, doing what he's been doing, not trying to do too much. I mean, he's been our second best hitter on the team, and I certainly wasn't seeing that coming into the season.
Yeah, well, here's something for the case for JP Crawford. What if you take these particular players off of their teams? What's their team success like? I know if you take JP Crawford away, what the Mariners would look like.
Yeah. But I don't think yeah.
I know that's, well, I don't even, how do they decide the other players? Is it the players and then the manager makes a decision?
I believe so, yeah.
We don't really know. It's all a show. It's all a conspiracy. So look, we talked about it a lot earlier today. We were like, man, Mariners starting this morning, like they got the 3-day games here in Chicago. They haven't been there since Jared Kelenic was pimping home runs with his necklace out with his wedding ring on it. That you were saying you might have to rock that. I got the footage of you saying that. They haven't been there in a couple of years. They're doing it all old school, all day games. So this is pre-1988 baseball being played here for the next 3 days. Get to see Justin Turner. But after that, they have no days off. They go to Minnesota for 4. I believe they go to Texas. Then they come home and they have Kansas City and Pittsburgh. And then after that day off, you go on the road and you play the Yankees and Detroit to finish off this first half. But before you get to those Yankees and those Detroit series, you got 17 in a row. And I think it's going to be a big, we all do. I think we all can agree. This is going to be a big, this is going to be big 17 games on what type of buyers they are, or maybe if they're going to be sellers.
Yeah, it's definitely a put up or shut up type schedule, these next 17. Nothing sounds easy to me. Even the Pittsburgh, if you're facing Skeens during that time, but they Mariners need to play better. I've seen some good stuff out of them. Their starting pitching certainly come around. Like I said, they just need a little bit extra kickstart. Maybe it's a thing of, I haven't looked at the numbers, but we need Randy to get going again. We know he's a streaky player, someone to help out the situation with not just relying on Cal, like I mentioned, and then JP, Julio get going. And then one guy I will say that I've liked what he's been up to lately is the youngster, Cole Young. I like what I've seen out of him, hitting down on the bottom of the lineup, but he looks like he's starting to get adjusted a little bit.
Yeah, both him and Williamson have just seemed to be playing pretty carefree baseball. And they got nothing to really worry about as far as the future. I don't think the Mariners are packaging them to trade them. Knock on wood, or maybe, I don't know. I would assume they're not. And if they bring somebody in to play third base, or they bring somebody in that can play second base, it's probably going to be just a rental for this season only. So I feel like if you're one of them, you feel pretty secure. And I do like what they've been doing down at the end of the order. They've been setting the table a lot especially in this last week where things didn't happen as well.
Yeah, I do remember that. Good point. Where those three at the bottom of the order got on base, loaded them up, and then with no outs, and then your 1, 2, 3 guys, JP, J-Rod, and Cal did not come through at all. That was a tough moment, but more times than not, at least one of those guys, it seems like, comes through for you.
Well, the series, like we talked about too at the top, Luke Raley is going to be returning. Everybody's talking about it because it is huge. What he brings to the team, the speed, great outfielder. You'd like to see better things out of him at first base. Maybe you will. But him against right-handed pitching and we've said it before. Now we got a lot of good base runners, but he's been consistently one of the best or smartest base runners that the Mariners have. And he's got some pop. And a lot of range out there in the outfield. But then you also have Canzone, who has come up and swung a pretty productive bat. But you see some of the limitations in the range in the outfield for him. And then you also have Rowdy Tellez. Sure, he can change the game with the swing of the bat, but It doesn't happen that often. His on-base percentage is pretty bad, but he does play pretty damn good defensive first base, even though like some of the metrics might say he doesn't. But you could also look at some of the other metrics that say Cal and JP are below average on metrics, and that's horse shit. We've seen him play good first base. And then Solano, who, if you asked us a month ago, yeah, get him out of here. But now we're starting to see him come along. So I think this adding Luke Raley is great. What does that mean? Well, you also have a struggling Demo, but you've always counted on him for years. Master Boney, you can't really point at him and say, you got to go. What happens here? Maybe we'll know shortly. But what do you think?
I mean, it's just a hodgepodge of shit, if you ask me, all those players. You know, I mean, it's not a good problem to have, but my look at it is all these guys you mentioned. I like Raley. I like him more as an outfielder than at first base. Then you go to Rowdy. I like him at first base. He doesn't have much range, but I like the way he handles the ball around the bag. You know, from the wild throws, he's very good over there. He can scoop everything. Dom Canzone, it's just came up recently. He's only had 30 at bats, and Solano, like you mentioned, has gotten hot recently. Garver, I don't see them doing anything with him until at least after the All-Star break, because I certainly hope they don't, in my opinion, bring up Harry Ford yet, in case they want to trade him. I'd rather have him have a clean sheet because I think his trade value is the highest. And then Miles Mastrobuoni, he's done some nice things, but when you go and look at all their numbers stacked to each other as far as at bats, runs, you know, that kind of stuff, hits, you know, the OBP, OPS, like I said, it's not that exciting. So I don't know. I guess when I look at it, I kind of, unfortunately, I guess if I had to vote, it's not a good vote, but I'd probably just say because he has options left, maybe Canzone or Mastrobuoni or Solano. I don't know. Like I said, it's a hodgepodge of crap, you know, so.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You do have options on some of these players. If you are going, hey, I want to just try to kick the tires a little bit more with Solano. I want to kick the tires a little bit more with Tellez for now. And you're right. Canzone, sure, he's been hot, but it's not a lot. It's not a huge sample size. And we've seen him get hot and be streaky, you know, when he has had some success up here, which he has. But then he goes through that long stretch. You know, he goes through maybe not as bad as Demo, but let's talk about Demo too going forward. But to finish that off, I'm guessing you will see Canzone go maybe back down, or because Miles Mastrobuoni, you make a case for him or Demo. He's doing more for the team than Demo is, definitely at the plate. So are you going to do that? And I don't think the Mariners are ready. Maybe we are as fans, but I don't think they're ready to pull the plug on Solano and Tellez quite yet. So
yeah, absolutely. It's still kind of early, but it makes all the sense in the world if, you know, they're going to go and give these guys their shot if the Mariners tank it coming down here, you know, before the trade deadline. Sure, then you want Dom Canzone to get some at-bats. You want, God, his name's slipping me. Help me out here. The other first baseman in Tacoma. Locklear, you know, then you could kind of get away from the Rowdy Tellez's or the Solanos. You could even probably get rid of Mitch Garver then and bring up Harry Ford, you know. So, you know, because the Mariners really don't want to, you know, show that or have that happen to them because, I mean, obviously the fans would be up in arms and people are going to be calling for blood. And that's not what the Mariners want to see.
Yeah, I just don't think we're going to see anything major right now. It's just going to be like the situation. I believe, and I'm predicting Canzone goes down. Just like when they had to send Logan Evans down, and you're like, oh, why? You know, he's doing his thing up here. I think it's the same situation of we're just like, well, this was the plan. Let's kind of stick to it. We're at that pivot point, though. We are at that transition point, and I again, we talked about it. If everything starts going bad, well, you're going to see all these guys go. You'll definitely see Tellez. You'll definitely see Solano go. You'll probably see, I would assume, somebody like Polanco would be somebody else or somebody want what Polanco does. And you probably, maybe it'd be more realistic now of something that we really don't want. And I bet if things go bad, you definitely see teams be interested in Luis Castillo. That would be another big one. I think that would go. The Mitch Garver situation is, hey, if things really start going bad, maybe you do let him go. Maybe you see what you can get out of Harry Ford.
Absolutely.
A lot of people want to see that now, but there's a lot of money tied up with him. But as far as Solano, as far as Demo, I think Demo's another guy. If things go the wrong way, he's somebody that a team would like to have, plays every position. Same thing with Mastroboni. So I think you see a big sell-off of nothing huge. I don't think the Mariners, if things go bad, you're obviously not going to see them trade away any of the prospects that seem to be getting closer to the major leagues as well. So that's another thing. If you want to go out and you want to be as a buyer, it's going to cost you something big. But if you go and you look at the teams right now, there's not a lot that really makes you super excited because of the way the trading has been at the deadline lately. It's not as big as it used to be because of every team still has some hope. So you might be just seeing, again, going out and getting players that are a little bit better than what you have or about the same level of what you are expecting from them. So maybe we don't see a splash. Who knows? This is an interesting time. I enjoy this more than I do the hot stove in the off season.
Yeah, I agree with you too. It seems like it comes down right to the last day or a couple days before. It seemed like it would start, a few weeks earlier. But like you mentioned with that wild card and a lot of teams still being involved, trades don't happen to the last second, where teams can really say, oh, we've been playing good at this point. This is our record. Yeah, we're not going to make a move, or yes, we are going to make a move because we've, just coming down the stretch haven't played well. So I hope that's certainly not the case. That's why, like I mentioned earlier, I hope we're in a position where we can go out and get somebody can definitely help us. I know we'll talk about that at some other point, but that's kind of like why I don't want to see Harry Ford quite yet. I think he's a major trade chip, personally, but the Mariners have a lot of guys down on the farm that they could flip for sure with that big prospect list that they have.
I think ones that are close to the major league level, like Harry Ford, Locklear, Logan Evans.
Definitely.
Those are names that maybe you might see, maybe a Logan Evans for, a really, really good rental. That might be something that you possibly see. But again, I'd trade a championship for having somebody that maybe has an all-star Hall of Fame career that we don't go anywhere with. Like if we trade away somebody that ends up being a Hall of Famer, good for them. If we get that chip, who cares?
If we just get there, who cares? We're at that point too.
But goddamn, a couple of dome rats like ourselves. That's all we want. Again, I want to stop doing this podcast, but I publicly said, and I'm trying to find that episode so I can burn it. I'll keep doing this until we win a title. So please get this shit over with. This shit is annoying to do.
Absolutely.
What else? Speaking of, really quick, I just wanted to say another important month, and maybe this even jumps into what you could do as far as trading. I mean, like at the beginning of the year, some people were thinking like, man, there was odds on Bryce Miller in the Cy Young race. But what Hancock has been doing, and if he continues to be what he's been doing for the next month, how do you send somebody like that back down when they show you that? If he continues to be this way, how do you send him back down? And you are seeing him ascending. And let's not forget, he was a first round draft pick. He's maybe like matured along a little bit slower than maybe everybody wanted him to, but you've had the luxury of these other pitchers, so you haven't really worried about it. He's definitely come along just like a backup quarterback in the NFL getting seasoned. And you're starting to really see it out there. When you see his name come up on the probable starters for the next game, I have a completely different feeling. So, I mean, right now, is he auditioning for his job? And if that happens, is somebody like Miller maybe somebody that's possibly available?
You know, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, first I'll start off with what you just said about Miller. I want him to take as much time and get healthy. No, not rushing back, not just getting the shot or, whatever. If you do need the surgery, I certainly hope not. But if you do, get it taken care of now. As far as, Hancock, he was drafted before all these guys. I believe, or a few of them, and they passed him up. They blew right by him. He didn't get the call of the show. They had success. He got a little bit taste here and there. He's a first-round pick, like you mentioned. I'm sure that was really tough and a big pill to swallow, but, man, he's sure recently and, a few times even before then, showed what kind of pitcher he is. He's a different style pitcher than those other guys, in my opinion. But he looks... I like what I see out of him, and I think he's really kind of honed in and realized what kind of pitcher he is and how he can be successful up here in the big leagues.
I mean, with excluding Logan, I mean, he's been your third best pitcher this season. You'd probably say Woo's been your best pitcher, then Luis Castillo, and then Hancock, because Logan Gilbert's been injured. George Kirby's just still finding out where he's at. But I mean, he's helped this team out a lot. And if you don't have that first start where he, got his cheeks tossed there, what's his ERA? I mean, you're talking up, you're talking one of the best pitchers in the league.
Yeah, I always questioned that weird little decision by the Mariners to ship him out right away. But he went down like he has many times, and pitched his ass off and got back right up here. So he's resilient. It's nice to see out of a ball player, especially his pitcher like him.
He just wasn't ready for the season quite yet. And if you're gonna blow up like that, I guess the first game of the season or your first start's probably the best one.
Yeah.
Really quick, I think we covered everything we promised to talk about on here. Wanted to have a little bit of fun with a little bit of fantasy booking for the home run derby. We have an idea. Major League Baseball needs to make this happen. What are we talking about? We'll let you know in 48 seconds. What's your go-to if we just had a big walk-off victory? Everybody's coming out of the stadium charged up. What's your go-to?
So I reel them in with some Michael Jackson, and then for Michael Jackson, I get them dancing with each other with Dance With Somebody. And then, we just keep the party going for a little bit. And then I got to throw in that Don't Stop Believing, just so the fans know, win, lose, or draw, we still support the Mariners. You know what I mean? That always gets them riled up. And then I take it to some more dancing. And then I sometimes have to stop because they won't stop dancing. So I'm like, all right, this is the last song. They're like, no.
That's one of my favorites, how you went out and talked to the Pike Street drummer.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's gonna come back on. I anytime I'm in Seattle, we always do this thing to each other, call me. Yeah, I hate you. I just gotta hit him up. He's super nice, very very generous with his time and his opinions. And Pike Street drummer, definitely already Hall of Fame, Occidental Avenue musician career.
Absolutely.
Also has a good, nice little music career, producing career, and stuff like that. So sometimes I'll notice, anybody seen him? Well, if he's not down there, he's working on a project. But yeah, that's Chris Anderson, also known as the Pike Street drummer. Okay, so Major League Baseball, if they know what's good for them, and if these guys can set a price, this year's home run derby, This is my thing. Screw everybody else. Just 3 guys: Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Cal Raleigh. Triple threat match.
Are you tired of seeing the polar bear? Is that why?
Yeah, can he just
No.
He's done. You had your run.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I was just teasing you because he's been so many year after year in it. But yeah, that's who the fans want to see, the big 3.
Yeah. And when I say whatever it takes, hey, you got to throw more money at him. You got to, I think Ohtani would probably be the hardest sell, maybe Judge. I think Cal Raleigh, this is going to be his first All-Star game, so the word yes is going to probably come out of his mouth a whole bunch. Yes, yeah, sure, yeah.
Speaking of that, before I came on and talked with you here, I looked online and good old Cal made his stop over at Barstool today and had some ice cream with the Barstool gang. So, yeah, he's definitely not saying no to anybody.
Yeah. But I think that would be great. It would be like, you got the lefty, you got the righty, you got the guy that does it both. You also have a guy who also pitches, so it's just the stories and the backgrounds. You got one guy who's from the West Coast who plays on the East Coast team. You got a guy from Japan that plays here in the United States. You got an East Coast guy playing on a West Coast team. You got a catcher, a pitcher, and an outfielder. There's just so many big things. And these guys, these are the big colossal guys this year. It's just, King Kong versus Godzilla versus the big dumper. That's what I want to see.
Hey, you are marketing it perfectly. Rob Manford, call up Myron with rye bread and mustard. He'll get this. He'll make it poppin'.
And I feel like, you go, I don't want anybody to mess with their swings. It's like Cal Raleigh just has a home run swing. He just does.
Yeah, you're right. He does. I mean, when Julio was in it that one year, we went on for a couple weeks talking about, is it going to ruin Julio with Cal? We don't think about that at all. I don't think it ruins any of those guys' swings.
Look, now if you're a great player like them, nothing's going to ruin them. If you're like a fluke all-star, I get it. Like if this is the first time you've really had success, and then you go to the All-Star game and you get in this home run derby and you screw up your swing or whatever, fine. These all-world, probably Cal Raleigh, we'll see what happens with his career, but he could go down as the greatest hitting catcher that, him or Mike Piazza. Mike Piazza never ruined his swing, but he was terrible in the home run derbies. But Cal Raleigh, on the other hand, look, he's a switch hitter, so it's not like you're wearing yourself out on each side.
Yeah, I that's who I want to see. I want to see those 3. I'm with you. And I think Dumper has a pretty good chance, in my opinion. What kind of odds do you give him? Good chance?
If he gets in the Derby, yeah, I think he's seen his teammate show you kind of how not to do it. We all want to talk about the home run shows he put in at both All-Star games. I was at one, you were at the other. Sure, but he didn't come home with the hardware. So Cal could do something that Julio hadn't done, and that's get voted in, win the home run derby. Yeah, those are the things that Julio's almost brought us.
Yeah, I mean, Julio put on a show, that's for sure, but he just hit too many at once and tired himself out. He's got to have that stamina, and maybe the older 4 years on Julio might be wise for Cal.
And Cal, the more he gets tired and the more he gets beat up, the more dangerous he is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So we want to see it. Book it. Triple threat match. Ohtani versus Judge versus the big dumper. Anything else would be a disappointment. And that's how I'm going to end this show. Look, we're under our hour, but that means we're doing good here. We're pulling up 5 minutes short. That means we get to be done quicker, which is always a good thing, right? Mariners Cubby series coming up. Don't forget 11 o'clock games. If you're getting this in the morning, all 3 of these games are at 11 o'clock. We'll be back to talk sometime soon. Hannah, you got anything to say?
No, I don't right now. Nope.
Nope. Game 7, what's your prediction?
I need to see Indiana play like they have at home in that cow pie of a stadium in Oklahoma City. So, I mean, I'm pulling for I'm pulling for, but we'll see what happens. Oklahoma turned the ball over a ton tonight, and Indiana usually turns the ball over a ton when they're down there on the road. So let's just hope the basketball gods give us what we want here in Seattle.
Yeah, but also, would you trade them getting a championship to have the Sonics back right now? Like soon? Like if you're like, oh, they win, but then
you can only have one. I don't know. I think they're coming back, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question.
I think it would be much worse if it was the Durant, the Nick Collison, our pick of Westbrook, like when you really did have a lot of like homegrown Sonic ties to it. Now it's like they've been there for so long. I just think the sting would be different for people than maybe it was 10 years ago. And I think that's also because people just don't watch basketball up in Seattle anymore as well. But
could be.
Yeah. Anyways, with that being said, thanks for liking, subscribing, and all that shit. That really helps us out on the podcast side and the YouTube side. If you are a podcast listener, which I know we have so much more, way more podcast listeners, go ahead and check it out on YouTube. We also cut these up a bit. So if you want to just hit up some of the segments, we'll have those out. Of course, the YouTube shorts. And listen, if you want that street cred for rocking the rye bread, I think I have one right here. I think this is a 3X. It was for Tommy, but there we go. There's a black and mustard for the traditional ones she's doing right now as well. The rye bread and mustard. You want that street cred for rocking the rye bread? It's available. Hit up at simply.cora. That's at simply.cora. Also, go check out In the Clutch if you want merch or t-shirts or sweatshirts or whatever of other players, specific players like the Big Dumper one. They got a really cool Big Dumper one right now, but they got any kind of like a topical thing that is happening, and all the money goes to the players, not to the teams, not to Fanatics. Go to intheclutch.com, check out their selection. Put in that promo code, I should say. Rye bread and mustard, all one word. Save yourself some money. All right, Hannah, all the business is done. Let's take us home. You know what time it is.